Woody Allen, Natal-to-Navamsha analysis with Venus as Atmakaraka. Ascendant, Leo to Gemini. Woody Allen's life path was guided by the fiery charisma of Leo and the intellectual curiosity of Gemini. In his natal chart, Leo gave him a strong desire to be in the spotlight, with an inherent need for recognition and admiration. As he transitioned into Gemini in Navamsha, his focus shifted more toward communication, versatility, and intellectual exploration. Gemini's influence made him more focused on adaptability and quick thinking, crucial elements in his career as a writer, comedian, and filmmaker. His challenge was to balance his need for creative expression and admiration, Leo, with his later focus on intellectual pursuits and versatility, Gemini. Sun, Scorpio, 4th house, to Scorpio, 6th house. The Sun in Scorpio in the 4th house suggested a deep connection to his roots, family, and personal emotions. There was an intense focus on privacy, mystery, and possibly a need for control within his personal environment. In Navamsha, the Sun remained in Scorpio but moved to the 6th house, where his attention was drawn towards service, work, and daily routines. His intense and probing nature likely translated into a meticulous work ethic, though his challenge was managing the tendency to become obsessive about his work or personal matters. Moon, Aquarius, 7th house, to Libra, 5th house. The moon in Aquarius in the 7th house pointed to emotional detachment in relationships, where Allen may have valued intellectual connections over emotional ones. His relationships were likely unconventional, reflecting his need for freedom and independence. As the moon moved to Libra in the 5th house in Navamsha, his emotional fulfillment shifted toward creativity, romance, and artistic expression. Libra's influence introduced a need for balance and harmony in these areas, though his challenge was to avoid superficiality in both his emotional life and his creative pursuits. Saturn, Aquarius, 7th house, to Capricorn, 8th house. Saturn in Aquarius in the 7th house suggested that Allen took a disciplined intellectual approach to relationships, often valuing independence and mutual respect over emotional closeness. In Navamsha, Saturn moved to Capricorn in the 8th house, where his focus became more about transformation, shared resources, and potentially confronting issues of control and power in intimate relationships. His challenge was learning to balance his desire for control and independence with the demands of emotional depth and shared responsibility. Jupiter, Scorpio, 4th house, to Libra, 5th house. Jupiter in Scorpio in the 4th house indicated a deep philosophical connection to his family and private life. His early years may have been marked by intense emotional experiences shaping his worldview. In Navamsha, Jupiter moved to Libra in the 5th house, where his growth came through creative expression and intellectual pursuits. Libra's influence made relationships and harmony central to his expansion, and his challenge was to balance his need for creative exploration with the pursuit of wisdom and justice. Mars, Capricorn, 6th house, to Capricorn, 8th house. Mars in Capricorn in the 6th house indicated a disciplined and hard-working nature, particularly in work and health matters. Allen was likely methodical in his approach to tasks, with a strong drive to achieve success through perseverance. As Mars remained in Capricorn but shifted to the 8th house in Navamsha, his energy was directed toward deeper emotional transformation and handling complex shared resources. His challenge was learning to channel his ambition into both personal and professional transformation without becoming too rigid or controlling. Mercury, Scorpio, 4th house, to Libra, 5th house. Mercury in Scorpio in the 4th house pointed to a mind deeply attuned to emotional depth and private concerns. His communication style was likely intense, secretive, and investigative. In Navamsha, Mercury moved to Libra in the 5th house, shifting his focus towards intellectual creativity, diplomacy, and artistic communication. This placement highlighted his ability to convey complex, emotionally charged ideas through writing and filmmaking, though his challenge was to balance depth with the need for balance and harmony in his creative output. Venus, Virgo, 2nd house, to Virgo, 4th house. Venus in Virgo in the 2nd house pointed to a practical, precise approach to finances and values. Allen likely had a meticulous eye for detail, particularly when it came to his possessions or the things he valued. In Navamsha, Venus remained in Virgo but moved to the fourth house, where his focus shifted toward the home, family, and emotional security. This placement suggested that he valued order and precision in his private life, though his challenge was to avoid becoming overly critical or detached in his relationships. Rahu, Sagittarius, 5th house, to Libra, 5th house. Rahu in Sagittarius in the 5th house indicated a strong desire to explore new creative territories, particularly in intellectual or philosophical realms. There was a need to break boundaries in creative expression and romantic pursuits. In Navamsha, Rahu moved to Libra in the 5th house, where his focus on creative and intellectual exploration continued, but was influenced by a desire for harmony, balance, and relationship dynamics. His challenge was to pursue creative freedom while maintaining balanced relationships and avoiding overindulgence in creative or romantic adventures. Ketu, Gemini, 11th house, to Aries, 11th house. Ketu in Gemini in the 11th house suggested detachment from social circles and a focus on intellectual independence. Alan may have felt disconnected from conventional groups, preferring to forge his own path. In Navamsha, Ketu moved to Aries in the 11th house, emphasizing a strong drive toward independence in social settings and group dynamics. His challenge was learning to balance his detachment from societal norms with the need for assertiveness in achieving his long-term goals. With Venus as Atmakaraka, Woody Allen's life was driven by the pursuit of beauty, harmony, and balance, especially in relationships, creative expression, and values. Venus, as the planet of love, art, and aesthetic refinement, influenced Allen's deep connection to the world of art, romance, and creativity. His soul's purpose was centered around cultivating beauty and balance, which reflected in his films, where themes of love, relationships, and human imperfections were often explored. The challenge for Allen was balancing the critical and perfectionist tendencies of Venus in Virgo with the need for emotional connection and artistic freedom. His journey required him to learn how to blend the practical and the artistic, the critical with the compassionate, all while striving for balance and harmony in both his personal life and creative endeavors.